About 5 million years ago, a population of African apes split into two distinct species. One of these species gave rise to the modern man.
More than 4 million years ago, members of one group who were on the evolutionary path to humans began to spend most of its time on 2 feet. They belonged to the genus Australopithecus. The most famous member of this genus is called Australopithecus afarensis.
A fossil specimen of Australopithecus afarensis was found in Hadar, Ethiopia. This specimen was named Lucy. Lucy lived about 3.2 million years ago. Australopithecus afarensis lived in a wide geographical area. Their footprints have been found preserved on a volcanic ash bed at Laetoli, Kenya. The age is about 3.7 million years. The footprints bear testimony to an upright gait. Their upright stance meant that they could see predators from a distance. And because hands became free, they could throw stones and ward off predators. These abilities, in turn, meant that they could survive longer and produce more offspring. Simultaneously, they developed larger brains. About 1.9 million years ago, our definitive ancestors, species that belonged to the genus Homo, evolved. A member of this genus was called Homo erectus. They probably tamed fire. Below the neck, Homo erectus was anatomically much like modern humans. Their arm and leg bones were essentially the same as modern people in shape and relative proportions. They were most likely equal to us in their ability to walk and run bipedally. Homo erectus also lived in a wide geographical region, from Africa to Java. They probably reached so far during glacial periods when sea levels were low enough to create a land connection with the Southeast Asian mainland. About 400,000 years ago, the Heidelberg man, Homo heidelbergensis, evolved. They were the ancestors of the Neanderthal man, Denisovans, and the modern man, Homo sapiens. The modern man evolved in Africa from the Heidelberg man about 100,000 years ago.
We, Homo sapiens, lived in Africa, in the Ethiopia-Kenya region, before we came out of Africa about 70,000 years ago. Of course, some other human species also lived in Africa along with us. Evolution at the dawn of humanity may be quite bushy.
When we came out of Africa, we met with the Neanderthals and other archaic humans. It is estimated that there were about 1 million of them. Within a short span of time, all archaic humans vanished. The last archaic human lived about 30,000 years ago. It was initially speculated that we over-reproduced, outnumbered, and killed our cousins, the Neanderthals, Denisovans, so named because the fossil remain was found in Denisova cave in Siberia, and perhaps some other species. Since fossil remains of only a few hundred of the millions of archaic humans exist, and the fossil remains are most often small pieces, a broken bone, a broken skull, etc. Reconstruction of our ancestry from fossil remains imposes heavy burden of speculation. DNA is a source of evidence for reconstructing our ancestry. DNA is usually more well preserved than bones. It is possible to extract DNA even from a small bone and determine its nucleotide sequence. Given a set of DNA sequences, it is possible to date the sequences. Just as carbon dating is used for dating the age of a bone, geneticists have found statistical ways of determining the age of a DNA molecule, especially in relation to other DNA molecules, by analyzing their sequences. DNA of many Neanderthals have been sequenced. DNA sequence of another extinct hominin, called the Denisovans, has been determined. By comparing DNA sequences of many humans who were alive and resident in different regions of the world with those of Neanderthals and Denisovans, it was found that the Neanderthals and Denisovans contributed their DNA to humans. By considering various possible ways in which Neanderthal and Denisovan DNA could have come into the human DNA, scientists have determined that the most likely explanation is that we mated with the Neanderthals and Denisovans. This finding put to rest the speculation that we killed our archaic ancestors. We did not. We assimilated them into our own group. We humans are unusual animals. We presently occupy every nook and corner of the world. We have adapted ourselves to a wide variety of environmental conditions. We live on remote islands. We live on remote mountain tops. We live in deserts. We have formed groups, perhaps by necessity. Early in our evolution, we depended on surrounding natural resources for our survival. We gathered nuts and berries and ate them. We hunted animals such as deer and ate the meat. We were hunter-gatherers. We reproduced extremely well. Thus, our population size grew quickly wherever we went. Increase in the number of mouths to feed from the surrounding natural resources meant that per capita food availability became smaller and smaller. A subgroup of people from the original group separated and went to another geographical region in search of food from natural surroundings. This subgroup usually did not keep contact with the original group. Sometimes, it may also have been impossible for them to keep contact, especially if they moved to a faraway place. Genetic variations that arise in individuals belonging to a group remain within the group generally. Thus, groups retain some degree of genetic distinctiveness. Sometimes, when individuals from two different groups mate with each other, there is exchange of genes. By analyzing DNA sequences of individuals belonging to different ethnic groups, it is possible to determine which groups are genetically the most similar and which groups are ancestral to which other groups. Using such data and analytical methods, it has been possible to trace routes of human migration from out of Africa. In India, there are many thousand groups of individuals who reside in different geographical locations and speak languages that belong to 4 different language families: Dravidian, Indo-European, Tibeto-Burman, and Austro-Asiatic. If one overlaps the families of speech on geography, one finds that Dravidian languages are mostly spoken in the south, Indo-European in the north, and Tibeto-Burman in the northeast. The Austro-Asiatic languages are exclusively spoken by the tribals and is geographically fragmented. Khasis of the northeast speak an Austro-Asiatic language, and Mundas, Santals, and many other tribal groups of the eastern and central India also speak dialects belonging to this language family. Anthropologists and human geneticists have always been intrigued by the diversity of ethnic groups in India.
Subsequently, we went on to study various populations, but we graduated and we looked at the nuclear genome, because after all, that's the major DNA content in the human genome. And when we analyzed different ethnic populations, one of the fundamental questions that we asked is, after all, we must have different kinds of ancestors. Could it be one ancestor? Could it be two ancestors? Could it be more than two ancestors?
The answer to this question has been enigmatic. By analysis of DNA sequences of individuals drawn from contemporary ethnic populations, has helped resolve this question.
The recent work that I have done with a colleague of mine, Dr. Anulapa Basu, essentially what we have been able to show is that if you analyze the genomes of all of the people of India that are congregated in various ethnic groups, you find that in mainland India there are 4 lineages, and these 4 lineages are identifiable with the 4 major language groups that are there in India, and a 5th lineage that is there in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. So the Andaman and Nicobar Islands was peopled by a separate lineage, and the mainland India was essentially peopled by 4 different ancestral lineages.
What we know today is that the Indian population is mostly the result of 4 large migrations that happened in prehistory. It was tracked on the basis of cutting-edge genetic studies combined with archaeology, linguistics, and climatology. The first Indians are out of Africa, migrants who reached here around 65,000 years ago. The West Asians or Iranians who mixed with the first Indians came next, 9,000 to 5,000 years ago. This combined Indian ancestry spearheaded the agricultural revolution in northwestern India. They subsequently formed the Harappan civilization, the largest ancient culture. The East Asians, who reached India around 2000 BCE, brought Austro-Asiatic languages to this land. Lastly, the Central Asian steppe pastoralists migrated to India between 2000 BC and 1000 BC. With them came an early form of Indo-European language and horse-driven chariots.
Om Bhurvaswarom Krunatsvapaja Prasitim na Prathivim Yahi Rajev Amavani Vena.
There were many more migrations after these. Huns, Sakas, Greeks, Persians, Arabs, Mughals, British or Portuguese. Yet, none of them drastically changed our demography. It is clear that we are a multi-source civilization. We created a unique common civilization out of multiple migrations and ancestries that came here at different points of time. We are all migrants and kin. Unity in diversity for India is not a cliché. It is the most accurate genetic description of us. Our footprints are transient, but the marks on our DNAs can track population movement and human evolution. Tracking our own history through genes, we get reassured that despite coming out of one place, we are diverse. In diversity, there is beauty and there is strength. Diversity makes for a rich tapestry, and all the threads of the tapestry are equal in value, no matter their color, equal in importance, no matter their texture.